Over there, sir.
Yeah, a question on the influence and the power of the illegal alien political action committees and the cartels. How much influence and power do they actually have in the legislature? And also, what is there in the budget in terms of looking at the issues of cutting those things that are supporting illegal aliens?
Well, I said our problem with that, our problem collectively, and I go back to 1994, Prop 187, is again the courts. Whatever you try, the courts strike it down. That is what's happened here in California. And as far as articulating the issue and fighting the fight, yes, that is happening. Indeed, Republicans are raising it all the time. But it has been futilely in terms of cutting benefits and programs, since we've already lost that battle in the courts. And oh, and the lobbyists, the cartel. The cartels, I don't know any lobbyists in Sacramento who represent the cartels, okay? But let's just suffice to say they have a lot of money and they have an agenda. But I don't think the cartels worry a whole lot about the legislature, folks. They don't even think about it. They don't even think about the laws after the legislature passes them. They are laws unto themselves. They will do whatever they want to do. And their power is in money. Yes, it is in money. I don't think they're pouring any political action committee dollars in the legislature. I don't think they're trying to buy off people. I don't think they even care. I don't think they spend a minute thinking about the legislature. And I don't think they spend a minute or giving a doggone about immigration reform or tighter borders. They figure they'll go over, under, around, and through, and they'll get their product in. And as you know, long ago, and this started in the 80s, they outsourced. They came here. They're growing their crops up here. Shasta County, folks, they're your neighbors. They're your farmers. They're the #1 agricultural commodity in Mendocino County. No, they've outsourced. They've got one our program. Oh, so but let's tax them. That'll really bring them to the knees, folks. No, man, let's keep no on marijuana. I mean, if we do that, that's a signal of the cartels. Here we come. Well, they'll say, oh, well, the cartels, there'll be no profit in it anymore. Oh, man, profit. There's no profit in marijuana compared to what there is in methamphetamine and crack and heroin. That's where the money is, so they're going to get all the medical prescriptions out they possibly can and get folks dependent on the marijuana. And oh, let's go to the next step, folks. Try a little crack tonight. A little cheaper. I get emotional about that, folks. I've seen too many ruined lives. Yeah.
We had a problem last June and last summer with the water in the Central Valley. What's the situation this year?
The situation, because fortunately we have more water. Obviously, Shasta almost got full this year, Oroville a little over 60. That's encouraging. However, though the Valley farmers got a higher allocation, up to 40%, they're not getting the water. The Bureau has delayed opening the gates. Administrative problems, shall you say. So what can you do? Well, pardon?
The groves are already dead. You drive down that valley.
Sure, the permanent crops have already gone from the last 2 years. That doesn't help the permanent crops that have already been lost on that west side, and I farmed out there for several years. I know the west side as well. Those crops are gone. But these other crops, the annual crops, they've got plenty, even with more water. If you don't get the allocation timely, you can't irrigate, you can't grow, and forget it. And I argue that was by design. We can, we're giving you more water. Well, fine, when do you open the gates? On the canal. Well, we haven't got the regulations worked out. We don't know how many acre feet we can deliver in each section.
What's the board? What's the board? Who is this that's holding this up?
This would be the Army Corps of the Bureau of Reclamation, excuse me. not the State Department of Water Resources, but this is the Bureau. Well, we're running out of gas here, folks. I'm not yet.
How about the legislators that are lobbyists that get the water, they take it down to Palm Springs and they have nice ponds in the town where there's no water needed?
The lobbyists are,
Well, you have, I'll use the name Steve Stockton. He was a lobby.
well, you know, it's always, you know, we're taking our water to fill pools in Los Angeles. Well, that's kind of a, you know, that's sounds pretty bad. Water goes everywhere for a lot of uses.
I'm talking about Palm Springs where they make
Well,
ponds
Palm
in the
Springs,
town,
but
big town.
the pools in Palm Springs are not our problem, folks.
They are too.
Well, no, that's a few 100,000 acre feet of water. The problem is the priority of water being now for environmental use being taken away from domestic and agricultural use. My argument, that's my position. Not to say we don't need some for environmental, but let me tell you, the problems in the Delta are a whole lot more than more Northern California water. You know, I've been down that trail a doggone long time, and I used to represent most of the Delta. So I think I know what the Delta's problems are. That isn't the answer. One thing that is important, one thing that is still in the water bond, and whether it goes up or down is immaterial because we have this language in another one of the water bills that will not go down. It's already statute. Area of origin protections. Now that's something I worked awfully hard on back in the 80s without success. But, you know, Bruce made a point in the editorial a while back about, you know, Northern California legislators and the 2/3 vote and things like that. Well, that's one thing that my minority vote has some clout. And we need to hang on to it. And in the water deal, the area of origin language that was worked out with the Regional Council of Rural Counties and the Northern California Water Agencies, Farm Bureau, Cattlemen, and it was really hard because they weren't all on the same page last year on what the language needed to be. And the governor's chief of staff called him, Jim, you're the only one that can broker this. Can you get all these people together? And I'm saying, yeah, they're all my friends. But how in the world are they going to get it together? Even us, to be on the same page of area of origin was hard to accomplish. But it did get accomplished. And for me, notwithstanding the success of negotiating all those powers out of those original versions of the water bills of last year, the real victory was the area of origin protection. Now, let me assure you, too, that will be litigated. Somebody's going to say, just like the Fish and Game interpretation of Fish and Game Code 1600, these fish have greater water rights than you. Somebody's going to say area of origin doesn't mean anything because the fish need the water. And we don't need to be pulling dams out, folks. We need to be building dams